Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking into a really interesting business puzzle.
Yeah, it involves a personal care online retailer.
Exactly. They've suddenly seen this 20% increase in order cancellations for beauty products.
And specifically makeup. Right, not everything.
Right, specifically makeup. And here's the really weird part. It's happening after the first 24 hours. So orders are basically ready to ship.
Okay, so past the usual, oops, changed my mind's window, and it's happening just on their app.
Just on the app, yeah. It's pretty recent, kind of came out of nowhere. So our mission today is to unpack how they're trying to figure this out.
It sounds like a classic case of detective work, using these interview excerpts as our clues. The first step seems, well, very systematic.
Totally. They started by ruling out all the external stuff,
Yeah.
the usual suspects.
Makes sense. What did they check off the list?
Okay, so they confirmed their cancellation tracking is working fine. No weird data glitches in the dashboards or order systems.
Good, good. Gotta trust the data first.
Definitely. No internal experiments running that could mess with orders. They checked competitor activity, specifically Sephora. Nothing major there.
Pricing. Sometimes a sale ending or a competitor's sale starting can cause waves.
Nope, pricing was stable. They also looked at regional things like, is there weird weather somewhere? Any lingering post-pandemic effects? Health scares? Nothing.
So not geographically isolated.
Right. And no bad press, no social media scandals blowing up, no new regulations suddenly kicking in. They really covered their bases externally.
Okay, so if it's not coming from outside, the next logical step is to look inside, right?
Exactly. They pivoted to focus on their own customer journey, from the moment someone looks at a product on the app all the way to delivery.
And did anything jump out there?
Well, this seems crucial.
Yeah.
They had recently pushed some feature updates to the app.
App updates, always a potential source of unintended consequences.
That's what it looks like. Now get this. The reason people stayed for canceling is just the standard drop-down menu option, like product wasn't what I wanted.
Which could mean anything, really. Or it could just be the easiest option to click. People don't always give the real reason.
Precisely. And this led them to look at one of those new features, a virtual try-on tool for makeup.
Oh, interesting. Like, see how lipstick looks in your photo?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Now, the intention is obviously to help people choose the right shade, reduce returns, all that.
But maybe it's having the opposite effect somehow.
Well, here's a thought. Maybe the virtual try-on gives a quick positive impression. Ooh, that looks nice. They place the order.
But then later, maybe they look again or just think more about it, and that initial virtual impression doesn't quite hold up, like buyer's remorse setting in after the virtual try.
That's the theory. That disconnect between the quick virtual look and more considered thought later could be driving these late cancellations. It's a potential aha moment.
That makes a certain kind of psychological sense, actually. What else did they look at internally?
Well, they quickly ruled out sales timing, apparently. A sale is running right now, so that wouldn't cause more cancellations.
Okay, so it's not about missing a deal or anything.
Right, and they considered shipping address issues, but, a 20% spike across the board. Unlikely to be just typos.
Feels too widespread for that, yeah.
Yeah.
What about reviews? Product reviews can be huge.
They thought about that too. Like, what if they're pushing positive reviews really hard in the app?
But customers are maybe finding negative ones somewhere else online, like
Yeah.
on blogs or social media.
Exactly. And that mismatch, that dissonance, could make people feel uneasy, undermine trust and make them cancel last minute.
That feeling of, something's not quite adding up here.
Yeah. But the factor that seems maybe the most compelling, or at least the most concrete change, involves product authenticity.
Authenticity, how so?
They used to have a visual authenticity badge, like a little shield icon or something right on the product page.
Okay, yeah, I know the type, a visual reassurance.
Right. But to improve app loading speed, they removed that image and replaced it with just text, like plain text saying guaranteed authentic or whatever.
Ooh.
That's
Break
potentially
that.
huge, even if the message is the same, losing the visual cue.
That's the idea. That little badge, even subconsciously, might have provided a quick, strong signal of trust, of legitimacy.
Absolutely. Visuals often hit us faster, more intuitively than text. Removing it, even for a good reason like performance, could subtly erode that instant trust. Makes people pause, maybe second guess.
And that pause, that second thought, might be just enough to tip someone into canceling, especially if they were already maybe a bit unsure after the virtual try-on.
It could be a combination effect, though.
Could be. So wrapping this up, it looks like we have two main suspects on the table.
Yeah, first, the virtual try-on feature, potentially creating that delayed buyer's remorse.
And second, perhaps even more significantly, the removal of that visual authenticity badge impacting customer trust.
It really shows how interconnected everything is in the user experience, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Trust, design choices, even tiny technical tweaks like loading speed.
It absolutely does. And it leaves us with something to think about, really. Well, think about your own online experiences. What are those little things, those subtle cues, visual or otherwise, that make you trust a site or an app?
Hmm, good question.
And what might make you hesitate, even right at the last second before something ships? It's fascinating how much relies on these almost invisible layers of trust online.